I wrote 4 functions to calculate the area of the stadium. First we'll start from here because first we need to calculate the area of the rectangle. I wrote a function calculating rectangle area. After that, I wrote a function to calculate the semicircular area. After that, we need to sum these areas. All these 3 functions we are combined into the main function to get the stadium area, which is calculating stadium area. Do you observe here? I am using these functions in this function. First we are using this calculating rectangular area function. After that, I am using this calculating semicircular area function. If you notice, I am using this calculating semicircular area function 2 times because we are having 2 semicircular portions here. After that, I use sum areas function which will add all these areas together. This is how the modular programming works in C using the concept of functions. If we notice here, our program is not complex, right? Because we divided our problem into meaningful partitions. It's simple. And also, we achieved reusability. Means, if we observe here, I wrote the function of calculating semicircular area 1 time. But I am using this function 2 times. It means once we wrote a function, we can use that function any number of times, which is called reusability. So this is what the feature of modularity is. This is really helpful feature, right? Okay. Let's move on to the next feature of C programming. The next feature of C programming is structured or POP programming. POP stands for Procedure Oriented Programming. First, we will see the architecture of Procedure Oriented Programming. Then we will understand about it. This is the architecture of Procedure Oriented Programming. When we look at the architecture, we are dividing the main program into small sub-programs which is called subfunctions, like subfunction 1, subfunction 2 and so on. We will combine these subfunctions together to solve the main program. Let's go back to our previous example, which is calculating the stadium area. If we see here, the main program is calculating stadium area function and the subfunctions are calculating rectangular area and calculating semicircular area and finally summing the areas, which is calculating stadium area is my main program. I divided into sub-programs which is calculating rectangular area, calculating semicircular area and finally summing the areas. Depends on the complexity of the problem we want to solve. We can again divide these subfunctions into further subfunctions. Like let's say we divided the subfunction 1 into subfunction 4, subfunction 7. Similarly, subfunction 5 and subfunction 6. We are following a systematic and structured approach to solve the problem using the concept of functions, right? Do you agree? Yes, it is. That's why C is also called as structured or procedure oriented programming. Okay, let's move on to the next feature of C program. C provides a lot of inbuilt functions like mathematical and logical functions in the form of inbuilt libraries, also called as header files. This feature is really helpful if you want to write programs to solve the problems in a faster way. Let's take for example, we want to calculate the power of a number. Let's say I want to write a program to calculate the power of 100 power 50. To solve this problem, I no need to write my own logic. Straight away, I can use one function called POW, means power, built-in function, which is available in inbuilt library called math.h, which is mathematics header file. We can see here, to calculate the power, we will write like this: POW, the function name, and we are passing x comma y. X represents the base and y represents the power. Here, x is 100 and y is 50. I can use this function to develop the program faster instead of writing my own logic, right? This is the advantage of using the library of C. Like this, C provides many libraries. All those libraries you will learn chapter wise when you start writing programs. Okay, let's go to the next feature of C, which is pointers. This is very powerful concept of C language. Using this concept, we can interact with the memory. Actually, we will write the program to store the data. After storing the data, we will do some calculations on it. Maybe it is a logical or mathematical. After performing the calculation, we will retrieve the calculated value. So, where we are going to write this data and read the calculated value? That is memory. So, if you want to know the exact location at which place in the memory your data is stored or your calculated value is stored, it means to know the address of our data, the exact address of the data which is stored in memory, we will use the concept of pointers. This is very interesting, right? Okay. The next feature of C is dynamic memory management. This feature allows us to use the memory efficiently. What is the meaning of it? It means while executing the program, we will write the data. Just now we discussed. We will do some calculation, means some processing. After that, we will retrieve, means we will get the calculated value. Once it is done, if I don't want the data anymore, then no need to keep it in the memory, right? It's better to delete that memory, or we can say better to release that memory, right? To do that, we can use this feature, which is memory management. It is also called as dynamic memory allocation. The short form is DMA. It means how much memory you want while executing the program, that much memory only you will allocate in the memory. You will use that memory. After use of that memory is over, we will release that memory. That is called using the memory efficiently, which is DMA. To achieve this concept, again we will use the concept of pointers. Just now we discussed it that using pointers we can get the exact location where our data is stored. So, if you want to release that unused memory, we should get the address, right? Then only we can remove that address. So, pointers is such a powerful and very important concept. It must be used when we are developing any kind of application, okay?